Thank you, Barry. And as Barry says, we've known each other for decades. When he was a local elected official, member of City Council, and mayor of the City of Newport News, and we've been working together ever since. So, Barry, thank you for your leadership. As everybody knows, Hampton Roads part of Virginia that I represent is very heavily impacted by federal spending. One economist estimated that 48% of the economy of Hampton Roads depends on the Department of Defense. Not government spending, federal government spending, Department of Defense. That's not NASA, Jefferson Lab, FBI, Social Security checks, Department of Defense. So anytime you have a budget crisis, obviously the entire Hampton Roads economy is very much at risk. As we've heard already, we passed a budget which keeps the government, which should keep the government open for the next 2 years. I call it the dancing bear budget. The dancing bear is not so much that he does it well, but that he does it at all. It's not so much that we passed a good budget, but that we passed the budget at all, and we're able to keep the government open. One of the things, we have a lot of things we're trying to fund, and one, of course, and I'm going to confine my remarks to what's going on in the Education Committee. You've got a lot of other speakers speaking on other issues. In about an hour and a half, I'm going to a conference committee on the Elementary and Secondary Education Act. Last reauthorized is No Child Left Behind. That bill passed originally 50 years ago to try to add some reality to the Brown v. Board of Education decision, which said that no child can reasonably be expected to succeed in life if denied the opportunity of an education. Such an opportunity must be made available to all on equal terms. Well, we fund education with the real estate tax, virtually guaranteeing that some will have a lot more resources than others. And ESEA was passed to deal with the fact that low-income areas had less, and to deal with the challenges of educating low-income students, particularly in areas of high concentration of poverty. And so No Child Left Behind was supposed to be reauthorized about 8 years ago. We haven't been able to come together, and I think later this afternoon we're going to be coming together to enact a bill that addresses the fundamental problems with No Child Left Behind, puts some money where it needs to be in terms of education, gives the appropriate flexibility, but most of all deals with the achievement gaps in certain areas and make sure that those who are behind can catch up. One investment in that is a down payment on early childhood education. That's one that Mike Petters, who is active on the Business Roundtable, has been very supportive of. And if you're going to dismantle the cradle to prison pipeline, you got to start early, and early childhood education can help young people get on the cradle to college and career pipeline. It's interesting that it not only works, reduces crime, but also saves money by getting people on the right track and keeping them on the right track. Higher education will be the next thing going. You know, and the people you're trying to hire, that college education, some education past the high school level, not necessarily a 4-year college degree, but education past the high school level will be necessary to fill 2/3 of the jobs in the future. And if we don't have some access to higher education, you're not going to be able to fill those jobs and remain competitive. Unfortunately, the cost of education has skyrocketed. The support for public colleges has been reduced. Used to be about 2/3 of the cost of education paid for by the state. Now it's about 1/3. So before you get to inflation, the student's portion is doubled, and most of that is landed on student debt. That's gotten to the point where a lot of students are graduating with student debt levels higher than their parents' mortgages, putting them way behind and trying to catch up. There are a lot of ways we're going to try to deal with that to reduce the debt burden, but the reauthorization of the Higher Education Act will be where that takes place. Like I said, you said we're going to finish at 1 o'clock, so and you still have Don Byard yet to speak. So let me end there so that he make sure he doesn't, you don't run out of time before my friend from Northern Virginia gets to speak. But I want to thank Barry for your leadership, the leadership of the chamber. Virginia is alive and well in terms of business, and we need to remain competitive. And investments in education be one of those ways we can do that. Thank you very much.